Hello everybody, this is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP. Bitcoin and Ethereum are moving higher, but XRP is moving lower, and that's actually what my main Elliott Wave counts expected. I was a little bit not sure of myself, expecting them to move in opposite directions, but here we are. Still, remains to be seen if they'll continue and if they'll reach the targets and expectations for the structures I have. Technicals on the daily for Bitcoin, it's moving higher, and I expect that we found support just a bit above 38,000, about 38,500, so 38,512. That was where I expected, and we've got a hammer candlestick pattern, and upward movement has pushed from volume. The target from the flag was too low, did not expect that target to be met. I expected support about this area, and that's what we're getting. Look for next resistance about 48,000. Volume is pushing price higher short term, although the bigger picture is overall volume is declining as price moves a little higher up off that lows. I want to see volume start to increase above the 22nd of January, preferably above the 21st of January, to really have real confidence in this volume. But Bitcoin can often be a little bit weak off its lows, so this is not a deal breaker for a bullish analysis. The last signal from on-balance volume was bullish. ADX is declining now. There is no longer a downward trend indicated. The DX lines are getting close to crossing over. They may cross over in the next day or so if upward movement continues. RSI is in neutral, as in money flow. Range is overall still declining. If there has been an increase in range, it may take a few days to flow through. This is based on a 14-day average. Stochastics is nearing overbought with no clear trend and price bouncing up from support. I expect an upward movement to continue until stochastics reaches overbought simultaneously with price reaching resistance. This is my main Elliott Wave count for Ethereum. It expected upward movement. It sees a third wave at minor degree within third wave at intermediate, primary and cycle degree. So now a third wave at 3 large degrees. Add in these two plus 2 smaller degrees and the wave count's extremely bullish for Ethereum. The base channel here about minute waves 1 and 2 was overshot. It was technically, well, this does meet my technical definition of a breach, a full daily candlestick in the opposite direction below and not touching the bullish base channel, but it wasn't really a convincing downward movement because it never made a new low below 23rd of January. And now prices move back within the base channel. Base channels don't always work perfectly. They work more often than they fail. I'm going to redraw this and call it a best fit channel. And I'll be looking again for some resistance at the upper edge. If price can break through resistance there, we may see a back test of support before it moves up and away. But in the first instance, we may see a little pullback around resistance. This was perfectly where this last upward movement found resistance and initiated a deeper pullback. Alternatively, it's possible that the pullback is not over. Minute wave 2 could be unfolding as an expanded flat. This wave count has a lower probability. Minute wave B, 209.2%. When wave B is longer than twice the length of A, the idea of an expanded flat should be discarded based upon a very low probability. I'm not going to discard it because of the larger context. In this case, it makes some sense. The strong upward pull of a third wave at multiple degrees could be skewing this correction and pulling Minuet B higher than it may normally be. So this is possible. There is actually no rule stating a limit for wave B within a flat correction. There's just that guideline of it shouldn't, yours very rarely longer than twice the length of A. If B is over here though, C should unfold, and this is the biggest problem I have with this wave count today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 is just really getting quite time consuming now. It's lasted so far 7 sessions, whereas 2 lasted just 4 sessions. It's really unusual for a cryptocurrency to exhibit a fourth wave that is longer lasting than a second wave, with the sole exception being when a fourth wave subdivides as a triangle, because they really are time consuming. Here, it's not a triangle, it's a zigzag. So this wave count's got a really low probability, but I like to consider alternates, and it's easier if I chart them for you rather than just tell you what I see. Subnuet 4 may not move into wave 1 price territory above 2455.87, so even if this is the wrong wave count, it's still going to be useful. If we see a new higher by any amount at any time frame, a fraction of a cent on a tick chart, above this price point, this bearish idea will be invalidated, and then we can have a bit more confidence in the bullish idea. Let's have a quick look at technicals on the weekly for Ethereum. There's this huge ascending triangle. Price found resistance here. A breakout, a close above the triangle, tests of support moving up and away, another deeper back test of support almost perfectly at that upper triangle trend line, and now it looks like price is starting to move up and away again. This is really typical behaviour of price around a significant trend line, adds a little bit of confidence in the triangle, so taking the base of the triangle and adding that distance to the breakout point gives us a target at 3,347. Along the way up, look for next resistance about 2,400. Upward movement has pushed from volume at the weekly time frame. This is very bullish, excellent to see for Ethereum. It's given a bearish signal from on-balance volume at the close of the last completed week. However, it's a rather weak bearish signal because this trend line that's broken only has the minimum required 2 anchor points. You need to draw a line. It's got a bit of a slope and it's lot long held. So those 3 things give a line its technical significance, and this one's got low significance. So a weak bearish signal. If this current week closes green and on-balance volume moves up, then that signal may be negated and the line may need to be redrawn. RSI is back in neutral territory. ADX is now declining, telling us there's no clear trend at the weekly time frame for Ethereum, but it's really not going to take much to turn the black ADX line up and again indicate a trend that's a long way from as extreme as it can get for this market. Technicals on the daily. Today, Ethereum is moving strongly higher, 2 days in a row. That's really good to see. Pretty strong resistance again, about 2,400. Well, it was pretty strong resistance back here. It was broken and so weakened here. Test of support, another break in the opposite direction, so it's not that strong anymore. If we see a close above 2,400, we might see a little back test of support before moving up and away, but this area has been somewhat weakened now. Volume is pushing price higher for the short term, but again, for all of them, volume is overall declining, but again, I have to keep saying, they do quite often exhibit weakness in the early days, up off new lows. It's one of the features of these markets that makes their sustainable lows really difficult to identify. Sometimes it's not until several days or maybe even weeks after the low has formed that you can see enough strength in order to have real confidence that the low has formed and the next bullish run is underway. ADX is flat for Ethereum at the daily time frame, no clear trend. RSI is neutral, money flow is neutral. ATR maybe just starting to show a little increase, but again based on a 14-day average here. So if there has been an increase in volatility and range with this upward movement, ATR may take a little while to show that. Stochastics was oversold, it's moving up through neutral. Price reached support, it's moving up. I'll expect both of them to continue overall upward. Could be quite choppy and overlapping though, and for price to reach resistance and stochastics reach overbought simultaneously, that may be where the upward trend or swing ends. But at that point in time, if ADX tells us there's a trend, then I ditch that model of stochastics plus support and resistance, and I use ADX RSI money flow. Main Elliott Wave count for XRP was expecting downward movement. I have my concerns about this wave count, but it does have the best fit. It sees a zigzag continuing lower for intermediate 2, A, B, C, and C subdividing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of these nested third waves extending. 1, 2, 3 extending with 1, 2, and that 3 extending, and now another 1, 2, and a third wave has to move below the end of the first, far enough below the end of micro 1 to then allow room for micro 4 to unfold and remain below micro wave 1 price territory. From this high to this low, this downward movement does look really good as a 5-wave impulse, but you can't label this sub-Inuit 3 over at the low because sub-Inuit 3 must move below the end of 1 and it has to move far enough below 1 to allow sub-Inuit 4 to unfold. So more downward movement with a series of fifth waves to end these third wave impulses, and fourth wave corrections now expected to be 1, 2, 3, 4 fourth wave corrections, but a couple of them could be over within a session or so. The fourth waves for cryptos are commonly more brief than their counterpart second waves, again with the exception of a triangle in a fourth wave position. Those, they tend to be quite time consuming and really, really tricky to analyze too, actually. I don't really like triangles. Well, I like them when they have formed and they're complete and it's bleedingly obvious what they are, but they're still tricky. This is the alternate Elliott Wave count for XRP. It considers what if intermediate 2 was a double zigzag, but the problem here is the second zigzag the second zigzag of minor Y has failed to move beyond the end of W, which is its purpose. It has not achieved its purpose. This structure has a sideways movement. It is not a clear counter trend slope. That's what double zigzags should look like. So this has got a pretty low probability. But I can't see another way to label intermediate 2 complete here. It could be complete here, and we could be looking at a series of another 1, 2, another first and second waves. Maybe I'll chart that one for you tomorrow, but if this one's invalidated, then I might not chart that for you. It's a rather bullish idea. It's possible. Technicals for XRP today, a strong downward session today. The other two are moving fairly decently higher with a bit of a push from volume, and XRP's moving down. However, for this one, there's now a series of 1, 2, 3, 4 bullish hammer reversal patterns about these lows. When you see a cluster of candlestick patterns, it adds to the weight of the signal. So this suggests that the lows just above 0.4875 may very well be sustainable. Look for resistance at 54.55 cents. Volume pushed price lower in the last completed downward session though, so that is some strong downward movement, although overall volume is declining. On balance, volume might be giving us a weak bullish signal, but when the current red candlestick is taken into account, it's probably going to move lower, and I'm probably going to have to slightly adjust this resistance line. I'll leave it here for now, and there's just the tiniest little potential break above. I'd want a bit of follow through for that to be really clear, and it looks like we might not get it today. ADX is increasing. It's telling us there's a downward trend with a very long way to go before it reaches extreme. RSI is neutral, money flow is neutral, a long way to go before this downward trend reaches danger territory. And that's it from me with your update, and I hope everyone's having a lovely day. I'm back in Texas and I'll be here until mid-February, and then, super exciting, I'm going to the UK. I've never been, and I have friends there. I have a good friend in London I can stay with, and I'm looking forward to seeing her, and I'm looking forward to having a look at where my ancestors come from, I guess. And I think there's quite a lot of you who may be in London, and let me know in comments if you're interested in catching up while I'm in London. I'll be there 2 or 3 weeks, want to buy a car to do a big surf road trip. So yeah, let me know in comments if you're interested in catching up with me in London.